Hey, it's Brandy Kellett. I'm so glad you've joined us. Here is this week's essay. It's a little longer and a little different than what we've been up to lately, but these are my thoughts. A friend told me recently that everyone agreed it was really great that I was embracing my gray hair. Aren't friends great? Today, I want to talk about the tensions between how we see ourselves in the world and how others see us in the world. When I received this kind affirmation, I felt a few things. Baffled by the unasked for endorsement of a choice I didn't know I was making, annoyed that everyone had discussed my non choice, and amused at the type of math a person does before telling another person what I had just been told. Mostly, though, I felt like that's about right for how I move through the world. I regularly leave the restroom at work shocked by the revelation of the mirror. How exactly have I walked through the day not knowing about my hair or face situation? We recently got a full length mirror in our bathroom at home, the first one we've had since moving to Nashville 15 years ago, and it has been disorienting. Because I often don't know what I actually look like, apparently, it is strange to see my full self every morning. It's reminded me that I am perceived as often as I perceive. Apparently, all day I interact with other people whose eyes work. This is a ridiculous revelation, but it feels like one. I have spent a lot of my adult life learning to seek out and learn from perspectives of others, decentering and tempering my own thoughts with their experiences. And yet, a simple mirror in the bathroom has shocked me by reminding me that I am biased toward my own perspective every minute of the day. So, what do we do with the fact that we are always on display? Walter Benjamin is a Jewish philosopher who lived and worked in the early 20th century. His thinking has shaped mine in lots of ways, but he has some relevant thoughts here. He argues regarding art and our ability to mindlessly reproduce art that, quote, art or that the public is an examiner, but an absent minded one. He claims that when we produce art for the purpose of public consumption, we lose authenticity. When we focus on the way we will be perceived rather than engaging in the moment as our creative present selves, we likely diminish our connection to ourselves and others. Do you feel that? I'll say it again. When we focus on the way we will be perceived rather than engaging in the moment as our creative present selves, we diminish our connection to ourselves and others. I experience this sometimes when I'm speaking on new ideas or speaking to a new crowd. Rather than celebrating the connection I feel when I find a new way of making sense of our experience, I sometimes fixate on how it will be received, who will be offended, how I will handle the tension that comes up. When I'm consumed with how I look or am perceived instead of how I actually am, it's impossible to be present with other people. Walker Percy, writing a lot later from a different context and a different continent, suggests that when we live lives of public display, as many of us do, especially with social media, we perhaps unknowingly, quote, need others to certify our experience as genuine. So, according to Percy, when we choose to see ourselves through the eyes of others, we hand our power over to them and ask them to name us as valuable, as worthy, as authentic. In so doing, what takes place is a radical loss of sovereignty over that which is ours. When we see ourselves in the mirror, rather than seeing the world through our eyes, we give our power away. I hope this resonates too. When I'm concerned with the reactions to myself, I lose the ability to find value in my own perspective. I become consumed with where I am positioned rather than in positioning myself. I can only find value if someone else calls me valuable, rather than just living out my identity as a person made in the divine imprint, sharing a community with other creatures with different points of view. When I'm worried about how others see me, it's hard to see myself, let alone offer whatever I can to my community. I can't talk more about this without Michael Foucault, although I realize that in mentioning him, I am getting really close to being obnoxious. So I'll make this quick and I'll get to the point. Foucault helpfully describes the power of the gaze to control behavior. even when the gazer is unknown or unseen. He describes prisons whose discipline system is founded on the panopticon, a central tower with a line of sight into every single room. Foucault says a person watching, or even the possibility of being watched, controls the behavior of the inmates. Tolkien obviously agreed, as a quick side note, as his embodied metaphor for evil control was literally an all-seeing eye. I mean, Sauron, anyone? So my college students write a paper that I'm grading right now that gives them the chance to grapple with these issues. Not all the things I just shared with you, but some of them. Does engagement on social media platforms, where one could argue users willingly submit their lives to the eyes of others, give power to the poster or to the viewer? So does your work on social media keep power with you to express yourself in the most authentic possible way, to know yourself and to sort of express what you see about the world? Or does it give all the power to the viewer, who gets to say, I find your experience meaningful, or I don't find your experience meaningful, by clicking a heart? I want to pose a similar question to us as we think about how we live in the world. Do we sense that we are always being watched, performing for others in the choices we make, the positions we assume, the people we champion, the people we ignore? Does the gaze of others make you question your worth? Or do you know your own voice and respect your ability to find your path, whatever others may think of it? It is terribly important to listen to the ideas of others, but not in a way that removes our ability to find our own perspectives. Our communities only work if we all contribute in sacrificial and fulfilling ways. To do that, you need to find your voice, your passion, your purpose. And you can't do that by obsessing over your reflection or how you're seen. You have to pay attention to what you see out of your experience instead of how you're perceived as being seen. So weigh the balance between how you see and how you think you are seen. Step away from the mirror, step away from the gaze, and get to know your own voice. We need your kind of you in the world. So consider this my invitation for you to step into your own circle and share your own story. Battle for yourself and remember you matter. Do not let the gaze of others make you small, but stand tall and speak up so your voice adds to the sympathy of others. I hope that's helpful. I really appreciate getting to share my thoughts in this context, and I hope you have a great end of April. Cheers.